Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mang, and welcome back to Roll Mangging for our Shadowrun 5th edition explanation, talking, overview, book reading series. I don't know. And specifically the final part in our Let's Shop series about all the things you can buy in the game. And this will probably be the last Shadowrun related video in general for a while. So, let's get into it. This time we're going to be talking about all the different types of cyberware and bioware that you can put into a character. So this is all sorts of the augmentations, the cybernetic arms and legs, and cyber eyes, and wires throughout your body, and all sorts of the weird, crazy things that might be possible in the future, might not be. We'll see. We're going to be looking at just the core rulebook as well as the Chrome Flesh augmentation supplement. Alright, so first thing that we need to discuss in relation to all this is called Essence. I think I've tapped on this a little bit before, but I'll explain it fully here. So Essence is a numerical value that every character has, and it starts at the default as 6. I don't think you can ever go higher than 6. I don't think so. Yeah, so 6. And basically, Essence is your, you can think of it, I suppose, as your character's soul, but that's kind of strange. But it's an intangible thing. We, as playing a game, we can measure it. But it's not like in-game you're going to be like, well, I have an essence of 4. How about you, Jim? And it's like, it doesn't work like that. It's kind of like a measure of your humanity, I guess. It's what makes you, a living organism, I guess. And every piece of cyberware and bioware kind of deducts from this, because you're replacing you with something that is not originally you. It's kind of like that thing where it's like, if you take a boat or a ship and you slowly replace every piece of it, is it still the original ship? In this case, no. If you replaced every part of you, you're no longer you. You are a robot, or, something similar. So, this isn't going to be an important number for you to keep track of when you're making a character and giving him cyberware and bioware and things like that, because the number is 6, okay? That is your essence. I don't know why they pick 6, not 5. It just is what it is. So it's 6, and you can't ever go below 0. If you go below 0, you become basically like a cyber zombie. Although I think there's a ritual involved with it. I think a cyber zombie's like, you basically, there's a term for what they call it if you ever go below 0. It's not good. You basically no longer can play your character, because you no longer have a soul. You no longer have any emotion. There's nothing about you that's really you anymore. So, that's the fluff reason. Mechanic reason is just so people don't just, well, I have everything cyberware, I'm a god. It's just, okay, there's a limit to it, blah, blah, blah. Now, you are technically supposed to roleplay it depending on what your essence rating is. Somebody that has no cyberware and is fully, human, fully living, is supposed to roleplay a little bit different than somebody who has like half an essence point left and is just mostly chromed out and is barely clinging to what makes them them. But that's kind of just all fluff and roleplay, and that's up to you. But if you're playing a role-playing game, you probably should be role-playing. So mechanically, Essence just affects how much stuff you can put into a character, as well as it also affects your social limit, because people kind of get weirded out if you're really chromed out. Like, you're not really... It just throws people off, I guess. And Essence also kind of figures into playing magic characters and things like that. I'm not going to touch on magic in this video. But basically, you can't just have like all the adept powers and just be, you know, Neo and then also be chromed out like the Terminator. Like they put limits on this, so it all works out. So yeah, so that's essence. Just keep in mind that everything that you put into your character as far as augmentations do take away essence. And so I'll be mentioning essence costs for each augmentation. All right, so moving on. Before we get into just kind of the listing of the fun stuff, the other thing that I want to mention is grades. So this is different than ratings. Pretty much most pieces of gear have different ratings. So if you get like a comlink or something, you get a rating 1 or a rating 6 or blah, blah, blah. And that determines basically how expensive it is, how good it is at whatever it does. Some cyberware does have ratings, depends on what it is. Some cyberware does not, because it is one thing, it does what it does, and that's it. But where cyberware difference is everything has different grades that you can get. And this affects the essence cost, so how much essence it detracts from your total. It affects the availability of it, and it also affects the cost. So the standard grade is just called standard. It has a 1 times multiplier for essence cost, so this is just whatever it says for essence cost, there it is. And it also has a times 1 cost multiplier, so everything listed is at standard grade. You can also get used cyberware, which some characters, it's funny, like they'll just no. Like even though it might be better for them to just get used instead of not having it, they'll just refuse to get it because it's been in somebody else's body. Hell no. Used takes times 1.25 essence, so a little bit more essence, because I guess it's been in somebody else's body. Okay. But minus 4 availability modifier and times 0.75 cost. So a little bit more available, a little bit cheaper, so you might be able to get something that you normally wouldn't be able to. Then we go on to alphaware, times 0.8 essence, plus 2 availability, times 1.2 cost. Betaware is 0.7 essence, plus 4 availability, times 1.5 cost. Deltaware, times 0.5 essence, so half the essence of normal, plus 8 to availability, and times 2.5 the cost. Very, very uncommon you'll be able to get anything Deltaware when you make a character, except for like Cyber Eyes or something like that, and at that point there's not really any point to get Deltaware. So generally you're going to go standard, maybe some used, maybe alphaware if you really want it, but there you go. Chrome Flesh adds in gamma grade cyberware. The next big thing. Officially, no one has discovered it yet, but if you want your game to decide otherwise, the first corporation to unlock gamma-grade cyberware will find itself with a technological edge for a while until the others learn to catch up. 1 or 2 bleeding-edge prototypes might be out there before true production can be started up, and maybe your players happen to get their hands on someone with this one-of-a-kind test system. So, gamma-grade is times 0.4 essence cost, plus 12 availability, and times 5 the cost. So, yeah. Pretty crazy shit. So that was just in Chrome Flesh, the supplement. So that's not in the standard book. All right, let's move on then to cyberware. And starting with the head, you can get implants. So you can get normal tech implanted in your head, such as your comlink. So you never have to whip it out or anything like that. It's just always in your head, and you can just talk. You can just think your thoughts. Right to your head, boom, it's all there, concealed, blah, blah, blah. You can get your cyber deck implanted in your head, as Gug did. And it's very convenient, I think, to have it in your head. Because, if you pull out your cyber deck, most people are going to see, oh, that's kind of restricted. It's also used for hacking. What is that guy doing? Whereas if you just have it in your head, you're just kind of like, nobody can tell what you're doing. You're just kind of standing there, but, oh, you're hacking into their camera system. I think it's pretty smart. You can also get a data jack, which is much less used, I think, in 5th edition than ever. I think it used to be more useful. It does give you the direct neural interface, which is the same thing as, say, Trodes would. So you could just get the implanted data jack. I suppose if you don't want to wear Trodes, a data jack's not bad, but it does cost 1,000 new yen. So, compared to like 70 for Trodes. So yeah, that's a few things that you can get implanted. You also have a Cortex bomb, which they mention in the Cyberware, although you would never voluntarily get this, I don't think. Cortex bomb, I think I've talked about this. Yeah, because it would happen in like in our last Shadowrun video. Yeah, so Cortex bomb, you can get that installed, blow up your brain. You can get a control rig implanted for riggers trying to directly control vehicles and drones and things like that. Data lock, which is basically like it's basically like a flash drive embedded in your head. It's not wirelessly enabled, and so you are basically like a data safe. Like people will put data on that stored in their head, and then they have to plug into something to get the data back. So that's pretty useful. Olfactory boosters. This basically just enhances your sense of smell. That seems so uncommon, especially because it's not that cheap. It comes in 6 ratings, and it costs rating times 4,000 new yen. So it's not cheap. But if you really need to smell everything, boom, there you go. You can get a sim rig implanted if you want to record sensory data for SimSense stuff. Skill jacks, I'm pretty sure I talked about this, because this is where you can just plug in programs that know how to do skills better than you normally do, and it kind of just takes control for you. The skill jack is different than the skill wires. So the skill wires is for active things. The skill jack is for like knowledge skills and language skills and blah, blah, blah. You get a taste booster, same thing as the olfactory, but it's for your taste. You can get a tooth compartment, which is apparently the oldest cyberware on the market, because I guess it's pretty much, you can get that today. It's just a hollowed out tooth, and you can use it to smuggle really, really tiny contraband the size of a data chip or a really small RFID tag. So yeah, maybe you have a use for that. An ultrasound sensor, a voice modulator, which is pretty useful, I think. Gives you perfect pitch and enormous vocal flexibility and distortion capabilities. So you can speak up to 100 decibels without strain. You can shift your pitch to make perfect bird calls. And you can do uncanny vocal impressions, which is probably what most people use it for. So that's pretty good. So that's headwear. Although I should probably check Chrome Flesh. No, we'll just go through Chrome Flesh at the end. Then eyewear. Most commonly for eyewear, you can just get Cyber Eyes. So if you're looking at eyewear, generally you're getting Cyber Eyes. You can get other things, like you can get other, like you can get like low light vision implanted onto your normal eye. I don't know how this works. But you can get like a smart link. Normally, when you just get when you just get Cyber Eyes, you get a smart link with it, and then boom, it's all good. But you can also just buy the smart link and put it onto your regular eyes. But it, I don't know. Unless your character has a reason to be squeamish about getting Cyber Eyes, or like a reason not to get Cyber Eyes. Cyber Eyes are pretty useful. But yeah, you can get low light vision or flare compensation, image link, so you can just see augmented reality objects right in your eyes, retinal duplication, so that you can basically, say you knock somebody out, and then you put your eyeball right up to their eyeball, and it will actually copy their retina, so you can go up to a retinal scanner, and your eye will then show their retina instead of yours. So that's pretty cool. Smart Link, of course, for hooking up with your Smart Link enabled gun. Thermographic vision, vision magnification, and ocular drone. Small spyball drone is placed in your ocular cavity. Spyball functions as a normal cyber eye until you remove it and control it as though a horizon flying eye. When it's out and you have only one eye, you suffer a -3 dice pool penalty to all tasks. But hey, you get a flying eye drone. Great. Earwear. So much like eyewear, you can get cyber ears. Normally, they only replace the inner ear with cyber ears because that's kind of the whole functioning part, but you can also just get an actual cyber ear if you want. So that same thing for earwear. You can get a sound link for augmented reality. You can get audio enhancement, a balance augmenter, which enhances the inner ear's natural balance mechanism. So you receive 1 bonus die on all tests involving balance, such as climbing, walking across a narrow platform, and landing after a jump, and so on. So that's interesting. A damper. So this protects you against flash bangs and things like that. Really loud noises. And, yeah, not too much interesting for earwear, as you can imagine. All right, bodywear. This is where we get to some interesting stuff. Bone lacing. Your bones are laced with lattice chains of reinforcing plastics or metals, improving their integrity and tensile strength. So you can get this in plastic, aluminum, and titanium. Plastic sounds really shitty, but I don't think they mean like plastic, like a plastic bag. I'm thinking more like plastic that like headphones comes in, because that shit's tough as hell. No, I'm pretty sure they mean tougher than that, because it gives you natural +1 armor, +1 to your body stat, and it boosts your unarmed damage because there's kind of weight behind your punches and stuff. A lot like Wolverine. So if you wanted to be like Wolverine, you might get titanium bone lacing. Or you'd get some special, I have adamantite bone lacing. It gives me +8 to everything. Some bullshit. Dermal plating. So this is like plates that are implanted underneath your skin. They are quite visible, so you look kind of strange with this, but they give armor. Dermal plating, let me check. Why is that not? No. Yeah, so you can get this rating 1 to 6. It costs rating times 3,000 new yen, so it's not cheap, but pretty much no cyberware is that cheap. So if you have rating 6 dermal plating, that's automatic +6 armor. Now, a lot of things, as far as giving you bonus armor because of implants and things like that, don't really stack. I think bone lacing and dermal plating do stack, though, and it kind of tells you if they combine or not. So bone lacing affects your bones. Dermal plating is right under your skin. Fingertip compartment. So this is a hollowed out compartment in the last joint of one finger. So you can either remove the whole fingertip, or you can just lift it up to access the compartment. And it holds micro drones, RFID tags, data chips, things like that. A little bit bigger than the tooth compartment. And this is where I mentioned where you can use, and it says, this is where it says, one popular trick is to use a fingertip compartment to hold a monofilament whip with the fingertip acting as control weight. Extending a monofilament whip from a fingertip compartment takes a simple action, while spooling it back up requires one complex action. There's no telling how many actions it will take for people to stop being impressed with what just came out of your finger. So yeah. An implanted grapple gun. It doesn't store any rope, so you have to attach external rope. Internal air tank. This basically replaces one or part of one of your lungs with a pressurized internal air reserve that allows you to hold your breath for up to rating hours. So up to 6 hours. Oh no, up to 3 hours. That's pretty good. Allows extended underwater operations and complete protection from inhalation vector toxin attacks as long as you're holding your breath. So yeah, you can hold your breath for up to 3 hours. It's not too bad. Muscle replacement. So this literally replaces your muscles with vat-grown synthetic muscles. It can also augment, so you can kind of also just stack on these synthetic ones onto your own. And it also provides calcium treatments and skeletal reinforcement. It increases both your strength and agility attributes by its rating. but it can't be can't stack with anything else that affects your muscles. So yeah, muscle replacement goes rating 1 to 4. Availability is rating times 5 restricted, and the cost is rating times 25,000 new yen. So yeah, not too cheap because that's a lot of work. So yeah, rating 2 muscle replacement, that's 50,000 new yen, but you get +2 to strength and agility. So I mean, that's a very common thing for, you know, street samurai and things to get, because it's, I mean, it costs money, but yeah, I mean, that's what you're spending your money on. Reaction enhancers. By replacing specific isolated vertebrae of your spinal column with segments of superconducting material, your reactions to events become quicker. Add the rating of reaction enhancers to your reaction attribute. So yeah, it's not compatible with anything else that buffs your reaction, but there you go. You get bonus to your reaction stat. Again, that's fairly costly. Rating times 13,000, and it goes up to 3. Skill wires, like I mentioned, they, you know, let you use active skill softs and blah, blah, blah. Smuggling compartment. These can be placed pretty much anywhere you have space in your body. So this includes ribs and the space between them, hip bones, shoulder blades, and so forth. These compartments can allow the storage of small and mini-sized items, nothing bigger than a light pistol typically. Your game master will let you know if something's too big. And has a concealability of -10, which is, you know, pretty ridiculous. All right, and then finally, probably the most common thing that Street Samurai or anybody that gets cyberware and gets cybered out is going to get is wired reflexes. It's a very important thing. It's also incredibly costly, but yeah, you're going to want it. You're going to want it because this highly invasive, painful, life-changing operation adds a multitude of neural boosters and adrenaline stimulators in strategic locations throughout your body, work to catapult you into a whole new world where everything around you seems to move in slow motion. The system includes both manual and wireless triggers to turn the wired reflexes on and off. Activating or deactivating the trigger manually requires a combo. When activated, each rating point of wired reflexes give you +1 reaction, and accompanying bonus to initiative, and +1 d6 initiative die. So yeah. So you can stack this with reaction enhancers, as I already mentioned, but only if both of the systems have wireless enabled. So this is the game being like, okay, people want, like, reaction is very big. It's very important. Because you being able to go like 4 times in one round where everybody else can only do 1 or 2, it's huge. It's like you can just do stuff and they whatever. So it's pretty big. So people always get this stuff. So they know people want everything to boost their reaction. And so they're like, all right, you can have both this stuff, but only if you have wireless enabled. And so that's important because then that lets deckers just fuck with you. And they will. All right, so wired reflexes, they rate from 1 to 3. Rating 1 costs you 2 essence. So that's a third of your soul that's just sliced away instantly. Now, again, this is where you might go to alphaware and things like that, but just wait. Availability for rating 1 is 8R, and it costs 39,000 new yen. Okay, not terrible. You can see a lot of people getting rating 1, but it's like, oh, it's only 1. I want more. Rating 2 costs you 3 essence. That is half of everything that you are. Availability 12R, so this is the max that you can get as a standard character during creation. Cost 149,000 new yen. Wow. That was a jump. Finally, rating 3 costs 5 essence, which is nuts. Like, this is where the game's basically like, yeah, I mean, you could get regular with wired reflexes 3, but you don't want it. Availability 20R and cost 217,000 new yen. So, you might be wondering then, well, how much does, like, gamma grade wired reflexes 3 cost? Oh, I'll tell you. Hold on. I gotta fire up the character creator because I want to do this. I don't want to do the math. I want it to just tell me. Cyberware, bodyware, gamma grade, wired reflexes 3. Costs 1,085,000 new yen. Not crazy compared to like buying, I don't know, the best plane in the game or something. But yeah, pretty far beyond what most characters are going to spend on a lot of things. But I guess, I mean, that costs 2 essence. 2 essence for 3, down from 5. It's also availability 32R. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right. Cyber limbs. So this is where they replace actual limbs from your body. And cyber limbs have their own strength and agility ratings. So when you use a particular limb for a test that involves that limb, you use the attribute for that limb. This can be good and bad. It can be good if you are just like a pissant weakling that decides, I'm going to buy a cyber arm and it's going to be strong as hell. And it's like, okay, you have your left hand that's just like, you know, slapping the base, and then your right hand that can just like crush bricks. So that's pretty cool, because then you can just buy strength. But if you're like a big beefy guy, big huge troll, there's not really any reason to get cyber arms, because they can only kind of hurt you. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It makes sense. So yeah, not a whole lot to say. You can get obvious limbs and more synthetic limbs. This affects the cost and the capacity of it. So how many kind of like enhancements and things like that you can put into it. Cost is, you know, anywhere from like 5,000 to 25,000 depending on what you're getting, but then all the, you know, making it stronger, faster, blah blah blah, that costs a lot more money, and adding accessories and things like that. The things that you can replace are your full arm, your full leg, a hand or a foot, lower arm, lower leg, torso, and your skull. So yes, if you want a cyber skull, you can get it. You can get it. You can do it. Accessories. So you can get a cyber arm gyro mount. This accessory must be installed in a full or partial cyber arm. When activated, counterweights pop out of your wrist, and a small gyro spins up to provide you with better balance and reduced recoil for improving firing capability. Meanwhile, small children stare at you. The effects are identical to a gyro stabilization system, only with rating 3. There you go. You can get a cyber arm slide. So this is where you can have a gun slide out of your cyber arm, which is pretty cool. It's fairly cool. You can get a cyber holster. So basically, think like RoboCop. Like that's pretty much exactly what they're going for, because that has to be in the game. Hydraulic jacks. This implant requires you to have 2 cyber legs with a hydraulic jack of identical ratings in each leg. Each rating point adds +1 to your physical limit for jumping and sprinting, adds 20% to your maximum jump distance, and reduces your falling distance by 2 meters for the purpose of calculating falling damage. Yeah, if that sounds just like really rules heavy to you, that's because it is. Like, I mean, for situations like that, you kind of wish you were just playing like Fate and you just had the aspect that's like, I have hydraulic jacks in my legs. And it's like, oh, alright, you can jump far. You know, it's like, no, we need to stat this shit out. You can get a large smuggling compartment in, I don't know if that's specifically for your cyber torso or what, but it lets you fit a heavy pistol or small SMG. Then you can get cyber implant weapons. Cyber implant weapons can be installed into cyber limbs or directly into the meat. They're popular with the denizens of urban wastelands like the Barrens, and with street samurai who never want to go anywhere unarmed. So yeah, it's like if you go to a place and they ask you to remove all your weapons, it's like, well, you can't remove your cyber implanted weapon. Cyber guns are mounted in a cyber arm or directly into a natural arm, but you can install one in a leg or even on your torso. Cyber guns are distinct from cyber holsters in that the gun itself can be controlled and fired directly as an extension of your body. So yeah, if you wanted like to make Barrett from Final Fantasy VII, he would have like a big ass cyber gun at the end of his arm that wouldn't really be concealed at all, but there it is. But mostly, you're going to get ones that are fairly concealed, and they're made from non-metallic compounds. They have internal magazines, and they can be equipped with a hidden external ammo port. However, once you attach a clip to the side of your forearm or the back of your elbow, the cyber gun becomes kind of obvious. Laser sights and silencers are also available. And the type of cyber guns you can get are holdout pistol, light pistol, machine pistol, heavy pistol, submachine gun, shotgun, grenade launcher. And the grenade launcher is 20F availability, 30,000 new yen. Costs you 1.5 essence just to have it there, but you could have it there. You can also get cyber melee weapons. So much like the same thing of what you'd expect. These are like hand blades, retractable, hand razors, retractable, spurs. Spurs are 1 to 3 blades or spikes protruding from the back of your wrist or your knuckles, sticking out from your fist as much as 30 centimeters. So, yeah, they didn't want to call them claws, because then people might think it's like Wolverine, but guess what? It's exactly like Wolverine. So all you got to do is get bone lacing and then spurs that are retractable, and boom, you have Shadowrun Wolverine. And all these cyber melee weapons are under, 13 availability, so you can get them at character creation. You can also get a shock hand. It's like a shock glove built into the palm of your hand, perfect for inflicting a nasty shock to anything it comes into contact with. So yeah, you can just shake some guy's hand and kill him. Great. Alright, Bioware. Moving on. So Bioware is different than Cyberware because Bioware is more... It more kind of affects your existing body. You're not really replacing anything. You're not drawing something out. You're just... Like, this is true, much truer in the sense of augmentation. Because you're affecting your own physical body. So, Bioware costs more money, but it also costs less essence because you're not actually taking things out. It's also a lot subtler, more subtle, because there's nothing chrome or anything going on. Adrenaline pump. This enhanced gland is implanted in the lower abdomen, connected to both supraadrenal glands. When dormant, the pump is merely a reservoir for adrenaline. When activated, a small muscular sac contracts, sending a surge of concentrated adrenaline into their bloodstream. Physical and emotional stress can force your pump to activate if you fail a composure test. Otherwise, you can trigger it as a free action. While the pump is active, you ignore injury modifiers and don't fall unconscious, even if your stun condition monitor is filled. You can't rest, but the adrenaline pump's rating is added to your strength, agility, reaction, and willpower attributes. Pump works for rating times 1d6 combat turns. When time's up, you crash and take stun damage equal to the number of combat turns the pump is active. So, yes, you can't go unconscious even if you get, like, smashed across the face with a bat. And you add the rating to your strength, agility, reaction, and willpower. As you can already assume, if you've been listening, you should know this costs a hell of a lot. Not nearly as much as wired reflexes, but... Rating 1 to 3. Essence is rating times 0.75. Availability is rating times 6. Forbidden for some reason. And cost is rating times 55,000 new yen. But still... Snagging A rating 2 adrenaline pump, not shabby. Because you're going to be triggering that probably every fight you go into. So your strength, agility, reaction, and willpower are all going to be +2. I mean, yeah, you're going to crash, but I don't think it's that terrible because you can resist the damage. Bone density augmentation. This is pretty much the Bioware version of the bone lacing. This affects the molecular structure of your bones and increases density and tensile strength. Ligaments are strengthened, and the increased bone density increases your weight a bit. Your body attribute is increased by the bone density rating for the purpose of damage resistance tests. You also deal physical damage in unarmed combat based on the rating of the augmentation. So yeah, like I said, Bioware version of bone lacing. And it's only rating times 5,000 new yen, so it's not terrible. I don't think it does as much as actually, that's weird. It mentions like a table that's not. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So I don't think it's quite as good as the bone lacing, but yeah, there you go. Cat's eyes. Yeah, you can replace your own eyes with cat's eyes. These transgenic vat-grown implants are very literally cat's eyes with a modified DNA profile and occipital connecting structures. The structure of cat's eyes amplifies light and enhances night vision, providing low-light vision. Cat's eyes are slit and reflective, just like, well, a cat's. So yeah, this is an odd one, because there are so many easy ways to get low-light vision. But I think it's more like, I want my character to have cat's eyes. I think that's why you would go for that. Because otherwise you would just get cyber eyes. You absolutely would. But there you go. Enhanced articulation. A number of procedures like joint surface coating, relubrication, and tendon and ligament augmentation lead to more fluid muscle and joint action. Gives you a +1 dice pool modifier to your escape artist skill. And a +1 increase to your physical limit. Yeah, nothing big. Muscle augmentation. This is much like muscle replacement cyberware. It's not cheap. And yeah, same thing. Muscle toner. This treatment increases muscle fiber elasticity and existing muscle tension. So this just increases your agility score. So it's not quite the full-fledged thing, but it's also not that cheap. Also, the muscle augmentation adds just to your strength. So the muscle replacement cyberware is strength and agility. Bioware separates it into two, and they're both not that cheap. So that's kind of the price you pay for the much reduced essence cost. Ortho skin. This is a lot like the dermal plating, but it's almost impossible to detect. It basically just looks like your normal skin, but it's a web of biofibers in the skin. And this adds its rating to your armor. But it's not cumulative with dermal plating. So you can't get both. And the price is reasonable. I think Gug had like rating 3 ortho skin. He just threw in there because why not? Pathogenic defense. This adds to disease resistance test. Platelet factories. Increase your body's ability to handle physical damage by accelerating the production of platelets within bone marrow and their concentration in the blood, which helps stop bleeding faster. Anytime you would take 2 or more boxes of damage to your physical condition monitor, reduce the damage by 1 box. Skin pocket. This skin flap can be located anywhere on your body. A nerveless sheath of flesh concealed by the flap is perfect for hiding a small object. It's the Bioware version of a smuggling compartment. Yeah, it absolutely is. But it's a lot weirder to me. I just don't like it. A nerveless sheath of flesh concealed by the flap. Yeah. Super thyroid gland. Yay. This one's not cheap. Placed on top of your existing thyroid gland, the super thyroid gland supersedes the metabolic functions of your thyroid. The enhanced metabolism produces more energy, supercharging you. While you're supercharged, you might want to supersize. To fuel your optimized metabolism, you need to eat twice as much as normal. You get a +1 to your agility, body, reaction, and strength, along with a 25% boost in lifestyle costs. And you might get a bit hyperactive. So yeah, this one's always active, and it only has 1 rating. It's just +1 to your agility, body, reaction, and strength. Costs 0.7 essence, which is reasonable for what it does, because it's Bioware. Rating or availability of 20R, so you can't get this at character creation unless you take restricted gear. And it costs 140,000 new yen. So yeah, there you go. Symbiotes. Tailored microorganisms in your bloodstream greatly enhance your healing. So that basically just helps you heal faster. Synthocardium. Artificial enhanced myocardium allows cardiovascular functions to perform more efficiently, enabling the heart to keep the blood better oxygenated. So basically, whenever you do anything athletic, this adds to your dice rolls. Tailored pheromones. This is what the face is probably looking at. They add dice to your acting and influence skill groups, but only when the person you're using them on is within a comfortable conversation range, because they have to smell you. And they also increase your social limit by the rating. So yeah, that's what the face is going to get, if anything. And the rating 1 to 3 and rating times 31,000 new yen. It's not cheap, but it's pretty good for a face. Toxin extractor, again, helps with toxin resistance tests. And tracheal filter also adds to your toxin resistance test, but only versus inhalation vector toxins. Okay. Cultured Bioware. So Cultured Bioware is a lot like regular Bioware, but it is specifically made for you. All the other stuff is kind of just on the market, more or less. I mean, it's all kind of restricted. Not all of it. Like, you can get a Synthocardium just at a store, I suppose. The Bioware store. You can get it shipped to you. And then you kind of just inject it and it does its work. But Cultured Bioware is specifically designed for you and your body. Thus, most of this stuff is very expensive. Cerebral Booster. This just increases your logic by its rating. Like, there's very little that increases your logic score, as you might have found out by now. So Cerebral Booster is damn good. It's not even restricted, though, but it is kind of hard to get. Availability is rating times 6. Rating is 1 to 3. Essence cost, rating times 0.2. Cost, rating times 31,500. Not too shabby. And if you're any form of decker that has some money, you're probably going to try to get Cerebral Booster 2. Because that's just good. Damage compensator. Damage compensators are essentially cutoffs stored in the nervous pathways that report pain from the body back to your brain. You ignore a number of damage boxes, your choice of physical, stun, or a combination of the two, equal to the compensator's rating before determining your injury modifiers. So it lets you take more pain without being affected by it. Mnemonic enhancers. This adds a dice pool bonus to your knowledge, language, and memory-related tests. I mean, I can see some people getting it, but like that comes into play so rarely. I mean, I don't know what kind of Shadowrun game you're playing where you need to, like, I need to roll so many dice for all my language skills. I mean, maybe they're out there. I guess I haven't played that much Shadowrun, so it's hard to say. Pain editor. This cluster of specialized nervous tissue is designed to filter sensory stimuli. It allows you to ignore all injury modifiers, and you even stay conscious when your stun condition monitor is completely full. You feel no pain. You're blissfully, dangerously, recklessly unaware of the extent of damage you've taken without either performing a self-examination or being informed by a biomonitor. Wow. So that costs $48,000, but its availability 18F. But man, if you're planning on getting tortured, yeah, find that shit. That'd be pretty crazy. Or if you stub your toe, just be like, oh, pain editor, turn on. Although, wouldn't it be always on? I don't know. It says if the pain editor is active, but it never mentions how you turn it on. It's Bioware. I don't know. I have no idea. They don't say everything. Reflex recorder. The first step in this particular recipe is growing some extra neural material in a small cluster. When that's fully cooked, you drop it in the skull and attach it to the nerves for motor reflexes. Then boom, you've got a metahuman with better muscle memory. Adds 1 to the rating of a specific skill linked to a physical attribute. Okay. So, yeah, it's basically the Bioware version of skill wires. but it seems like it adds to the rating instead of replacing it, so that's pretty good. You can only do it for each skill once, so it only adds 1 to any given skill. And it costs 14,000, but yeah, it's not bad. Sleep regulator. It does exactly what you think it does. It's kind of boring, not going to read it. Synaptic booster. Here you go. The nerve cells making up the spinal cord are both broadened and replicated with this Bioware, allowing for more neural bandwidth. The result is a much faster reaction time. Booster confers a bonus of +1 reaction and accompanying adjustment to initiative, and +1 d6 initiative die per point of rating. So yeah, it's basically wired reflexes for Bioware. Rating 1 to 3. Essence cost of rating times 0.5, so a lot less than wired reflexes. Availability is rating times 6, and it's restricted, and cost is rating times 95,000 new yen. Okay. So, what if I want Gamaware Cultured Synaptic Booster 3? Costs 1,425,000 new yen. But it also only takes 0.6 essence, which is insane. Because if you're an adept, I can see an adept, well, I mean, I think that's in like a fantasy game where you just have unlimited money, but I could see an adept going for that. But even regular Synaptic Booster 3 is 1.5 essence, which, you know, if you put all your shit into the adept, although I don't know if it'd be worth it. I don't know enough about adepts. Okay, so that's everything from the core rulebook. So what about Chrome Flesh? Well, Chrome Flesh gets kind of weird. Because they start out talking about cosmetic surgery, including breast implants. Yeah. Old-fashioned gel packs surgically inserted remain in high demand even today. Materials used are generally safe unless they burst. Recovery times are brief and prices are low, low, low. Body shops all across the world make a killing off these things. Sold singly, but you probably want a pair. So, breast implants 2.0. For those who change their looks as often as they change their underwear, modern science has stepped up and given us new breast tech, allowing the owner to adjust to whatever size they want. Hidden gel reserves and reflexive synth skin allow for any size from A to double D, changeable with a simple wireless command. Ta-da! It reminds me of Terminator 3. That's what it is. Where you have the female Terminator and she just sees the billboard and she's like, oh, big breasts are apparently in right now. Let me do that real quick. Cyber genitalia. Available for both male and female parts. Cyber genitals might well be considered a cyber limb, but doing so opens the door for a lot of uncomfortable discussions. Available in a wide variety of colors, textures, and sizes, cyber genitals have almost entirely been phased out by modern biotech and genetic treatments. Still, there are those who enjoy the mechanical benefits that only battery-operated devices can bring, and to them, I say thank you. The whole thing is written by, like, a cyber doctor, by the way. So yeah, some people, I mean, you could just take some Bioware that would just, you know, make you huge, but why do that when you can get a robo-dick? Fiber optic hair. The user's original scalp hair or facial hair is removed and replaced with artificial hair composed of fiber optic cabling. This hair is not only available in every imaginable color, but it's programmable, allowing for patterns, designs, or scrolling effects that nature could never manage. From sparkling stars in a nightscape of black to an explosion of neon colors to a scrolling advert to your favorite hair salon, the only real limit is one's imagination. Cost is based on length per 10 centimeters to a maximum of 1 meter in length. And wireless bonus, the user may download new color patterns and install them as a simple action. Like, man, can you imagine, like, I don't think Cyberpunk really touches on that enough. Like, I feel like that would be everywhere. I can't imagine how many people would have fiber optic hairs, but I guess. It is kind of a procedure, but still, people would do that shit all over the place. LED tattoos. So yeah, it is what it is. It is what it sounds like. It's an LED tattoo and it can kind of change color and brightness and things like that. Metatype reduction. More a series of treatments and surgeries than a single modification. Metatype reduction is generally aimed at goblinoids, aka the ugly ones, rather than surgically rebuilding an elf as a human or something. Jaw lines are shattered and rebuilt with tusk removal, body hair is lasered off for good, bone deposits and hard plates cut away, and even some delicate work with sweat glands and body oil production to reduce their output and make them more friendly to human noses. Mostly seen in Japanicorps, but there's a cultural shame spiral that drives even Western goblinoids to the procedure. Orcs who undergo the procedure gain the human-looking positive quality. Trolls who undertake the procedure have their racial charisma maximum increased by 1. This augmentation cannot be combined with a metaposer genetic treatment. So yeah, it's not really... They make it sound bigger than it actually is, but okay. Skin toner. So if you want to be a black guy, boom, you can be. Combine that with the cyber genitalia, you're good to go. Steamers. Nothing says cool like hotness. Steamers are small vents with compressed chemical reserves that allow you to vent water vapor at appropriate times. I don't know what that means. Steamers can be added to any part of the body and hold enough water for 5 releases. Wow. Okay, I don't know what appropriate times they're referring to. Earwear, you can get an antenna. We're kind of out of the cosmetics. So that was all the cosmetic cyberware. We're moving on. So you can get an antenna coming out of your ear, which reduces noise. Audio analyzer. Ear protector, which is... so it's basically like, you know, earplugs. But it's like a headphone, basically. It acts as armor 3, but only to protect the ears. And it's like, how often does that happen? But I think that counts for like flashbangs and stuff. I don't think they really expect people to like, I'm aiming right for his ear. No, I think they mean for stuff like flashbangs. Increased hearing spectrum, so this lets you hear like dog whistles and stuff. Translate ear. New from Renraku, the Translate ear allows you to hold a single language no soft and provides translation for what you hear with only a 1-second delay. While the Translate ear isn't able to assist you to read or speak the language, it provides a vastly cheaper option for translation services than a full skill jack. Renraku happily provides matrix storage for all your linguisofts, allowing you to wirelessly access them at will. So you can switch between any linguisoft you own as a simple action. In addition, if you subscribe to a wireless Skillsoft service, you may switch between all languages as normal. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's like the Babelfish, but wireless. Eyewear. You can get additional eye mounts. So you can have eyes in the back of your head, or on your legs, or on your foot, or anywhere you want. You can get an eye. You can get Cyberwares eyes everywhere. But it does kind of disorient you. So the more eyes you have, your physical limit goes down and your weapon accuracies go down. Eye light system. So this... Hold on. The eye light system involves a pair of minuscule high power but low heat lights installed into the user's cyber eyes. The mechanism is attached to the forward inner wall of the eye with a second smaller pupil installed to allow it to shine out. The light has a range of 2 meters and allows for a person with low light vision to see for a range 10 times that. The thin beam illuminates an area roughly the size of a sheet of paper or half a fuse box. So, you know, a lot of this stuff is just like, oh, it sounds cool, but it's like, when is that ever going to apply to anything? Like, I don't like, is it really going to be offer anything mechanical, or you're just kind of playing dress up, really, is what you're doing. You're playing a very nerdy version of dress up. Eye protectors to protect your eyes. Microscopic lenses. So basically lets you see, magnify up to 1,000 times your normal vision. Okay. So if you wanted magnifying lens in your eyes, there you go. Spider eyes. So it's basically an eye cluster of cyber eyes. They have poor detail and little color, but they discern light and darkness, and more importantly, movement. So you can have these literally in the back of your head. You can have a cluster of spider eyes. My God. And targeting laser, which is basically a laser dot installed into your eye. Attention coprocessor. Oh, we moved on to headwear. Attention coprocessor. This raises your mental limit for perception tests, but with wireless, it also gives you dice for perception. Chip jack, which is apparently an older tech that they brought back for this. So this works with skill jacks and things like that. A dream link, which lets you record your dreams, which is pretty cool. A false face. Intended for use by actors, Shadowrunners quickly found other uses for the false face, resulting in it being restricted in most countries and corporations. The bones of the face are replaced with dozens of small ceramic plates that may be adjusted and rotated by microservers implanted beneath them. Combined with small reservoirs of gel that allow inflation or deflation of facial features, this allows the user to resculpt their face to any possible version of their metatype, regardless of ethnicity. Provides a +4 dice pool bonus to a character's disguise plus intuition test. But it's kind of painful to change. I can definitely imagine Shadowrun Loch Lamora to have one of those installed. Math SPU. So you can have a sub-processing unit installed in your head just for running mathematical functions. So literally it adds a +4 to users' mathematics knowledge skill. It's like, okay, great. Orientation system, so you always know where north is. Gives you bonuses to navigation. A radar sensor. That's kind of cool. Although we're nearing an hour, so I kind of have to move along. A visualizer, one of the most beloved creations of the past 5 years. The visualizer allows the user to export a 2D or 3D image from their mind to augmented reality, or directly to paper by interfacing with a wireless printer. It requires extensive concentration and rare mental imaging ability to create more than a rough realization of the image in someone's head. It's an emerging art form. Okay. Auto injector. This is pretty cool. So this is basically kind of like the adrenaline pump, but you can have it in, like, you can have any chemical inject into your body at will. So this could be like, if you have an addiction, you might get this to just, pump whatever your preferred drug is into your body at a regular thing, so you don't have to worry about it. But also you can have it so that it's just filled with kamikaze, so that whenever you go into a battle, just, wirelessly click, boom, and your kamikaze injected straight into your bloodstream, and you're good to go. How much does that cost? Pretty cheap, actually. It's like 500 new yen. So that's pretty good. A balance tail. So if you want a tail that actually helps you balance, you can get a tail, cybernetic tail. Cyber fins. Yes, you can have cyber fins. A foot anchor. These are retractable barbs that are designed to punch into the floor beneath the user's feet and provide an anchor point. While intended for installation into cyber feet, foot anchors may be placed into organic legs with some difficulty. So when you have it active, you can't move, but it gives you a bonus to recoil compensation and to prevent being knocked down. I feel like if somebody knew that you were anchored to the floor, that could be really bad for you. But you can also apparently use them as a weapon. So that's cool. An internal router. So you don't, like... Basically, anything that's can be wirelessly active can just go through your internal router instead of just pinging out into the world, which is nice. But if anything requires actually accessing the greater network, it has to go through there instead, not your internal router. Magnetic system, pretty cool. So if you want to actually, like, walk up metal walls and things like that, you can get magnetic systems installed in your body. Move-by-wire system. I'm running late, but I'm actually going to read this one because it's very interesting. While usually considered cutting-edge technology, the move-by-wire system actually predates all other reaction cyberware, being the prototype from which wired reflexes and similar systems are drawn. It was simply too expensive and invasive to the user's body for widespread use, and the inferior but more survivable wired reflexes claimed its glory. Researchers have been struggling with it for decades and still haven't perfected it, but it's at least closer to being usable today than ever before. The system works by putting the user's entire body into a permanent seizure, using electrical impulses to direct those seizures towards an eventual end goal, such as move here or stab that guy. In many ways, this isn't unlike a high-end aircraft, where hundreds of computerized micro-corrections are required to keep it flying, only using metahuman flesh and bone instead of high-end carbon and aluminum. Any user under an active system will be affected by constant small twitches and tremors due to the complex interactions of the system, which vanish as soon as the system engages actual movement, returning whenever they are once again still. Move-by-wire is incompatible with any reaction-enhancing augmentation. So, it's rating 1 through 3, and it adds +1 reaction and +3 initiative, so a +4 total to initiative. Rating 2 and 3 offer +1 d6 initiative die. So, rating 3 skill move by wires gives you +3 reaction, +9 initiative, and +1d6 initiative dice. And it also acts as a skill wire of twice its rating. But you suffer a penalty to your social limit because you're constantly twitching. Also, rating 3 costs 205,000 new yen, so it's not cheap. Pretty crazy stuff. What else? A cyber gill if you want, so you don't want an internal air reservoir. You can just get a cyber gill. Climbing claws, which you can just, retract, and they kind of work like Wolverine claws, but they're just for climbing, although you can use them as a weapon. What else? You can get like a regular prosthetic limb if you want, like we have nowadays, but it's not very good. Built-in med kit. You can get full cyber fingers. You can get a finger flashlight, a finger lighter for lighting cigarettes, which is pretty cool. You can get a finger and a grenade. So you like take off your finger, you throw it, and it's a grenade. And you can also get a finger pistol. It's a one-shot hold-out pistol. I can definitely see having a character with a finger pistol at some point. A grapple hand. So it fires your hand like a grapple gun. I'm telling you, like Chrome Flash is really weird stuff. A monkey foot. These modified cyber feet are nearly as adroit as the user's hands and are capable of performing a vast array of motions. So yeah, you can get monkey feet if you want. All sorts of modular stuff. A raptor foot. So you can use a raptor foot as a weapon. You can get skates. A simple modification where retractable skates are placed in the user's cyber feet. These are virtually useless unless taken in pairs. Like somebody would get just one cyber skate installed in their foot. Oh, man. I guess. No, I don't know why you would ever do that. I have no idea. It's kind of funny, though. When engaged, the user's walking and running speeds are improved by 50%, but the unsteady balance results in a lowering of the physical limit by 1 while the skates are in use. Snake fingers. That's weird. And, a water jet, which makes you move faster underwater. Then they also go into the extreme cyber implant weapons, such as, this is where you get your chainsaws, whirling flails, and things like that. You can get Cyberware fangs, retractable if you want, which is crazy. A flame tosser. So it's a cyber-implanted flamethrower, I guess. That's cool. A junkyard jaw. A solid metal replacement for the lower jaw and a more hidden upper mouth enhancement as well. The junkyard jaw is only seen on Baron's gangers, who just don't care about normal society at all anymore. able to bite through bottles, knife blades, and even metal pipes with relative ease. The Junkyard Jaw is a famous intimidation tool. Note that very few users are further modified to digest the inorganic matter that they bite, so they are forced to spit it out after a good chomp. A Junkyard Jaw can obviously do just terrible things to the metahuman body. Approach with caution. That's crazy. But it does strength +3 physical damage and -6 armor piercing, so it's kind of painful. One-shot dart gun, so it's kind of like the finger pistol, but oh yeah, so fingers are the norm, but under tongue mouth darts, small to back, and rear firing, or even eye socket mounts are just a few examples. It's like, Jesus Christ! And so yeah, you can shoot dart guns that kill people instantly. Oral Slasher, a spool of pointed wire placed under the tongue. The Oral Slasher is more truthfully called the Oral Thruster, launched forward by compressed air to impale the target before being quickly rewound, not unlike a frog's tongue, only more dangerous. So, yeah, you can just get a knife under your tongue that shoots out. Who's doing this shit, man? And a weapon launcher. So this takes the form of either a ballista-like or catapult-like upgrade. This augmentation allows weapons to be launched as short-range projectiles. My God. And I think that's about it. I didn't read a lot of the little stuff, but there's a lot more kind of fun, tiny things that are just kind of weird. But I mentioned all the crazy stuff. Mostly. Yeah, so that's just from 2 of the books. There are other kind of minor ones, I think, from some other source books. But Chrome Flash and the core rulebook mention most of them. Oh, I didn't mention the Chrome Flash Bioware. Let me just quickly scan that. Oh my God, there's so much. I would go for another 20 minutes on this, but I won't. Let me just list off some names of stuff. Chameleon Skin. Silky Skin. I don't know what that is. Chemical Glands. Elastic Joints. Gills. Hand and foot webbing, joint replacement, nephritic screens, nictitating membranes, spider silk gland. So yes, if you want to shoot spider silk out of your ass, you can get it. You can get it. Spinal realignment. Okay, I don't know why that's mentioned. Just a normal Bioware tail. Troll eyes. Then there's all sorts of upgrades for your ortho skin that you can add on. So like dragon hide ortho skin, penguin blubber ortho skin, seal skin, shark skin. That's pretty cool. Boosted reflexes, cerebellum booster, reproductive replacement, trauma damper, tremor reducer. Then bioweaponry, you can get natural claws, which I guess Wolverine originally had. Fangs, horns, a muzzle for some reason. A sprayer, so you can spray out chemicals. A stinger. Tusks. And then there's symbionts. Bleeding edge technology that features bioengineered parasitic life forms designed to take some nutrients and water from a host, in turn sharing with them one of the many small augmentations. So yeah, you can just get a Bioware parasite. Gut flora. You can lactose tolerance. So yeah, my character is lactose intolerant, but he has a parasite that lets him tolerate it. It's like, who's doing this? I'm telling you, this is nerdy dress up. Slim worm? Why are you getting a slim worm? I don't know. I think that's about it. I glazed over a lot of that, but there you go. All right, so yeah, that's the very technical side of Shadowrun character creation. Is all the kind of different stuff you can get. So yeah, so there you go. We talked about all the kind of gear and cyberware and all the stuff that you can bling out a character with, and we talked about the Matrix and how that all works. But frankly, all that we discussed is really only half of what Shadowrun is, more or less. The other half is the magic part. So, I mean, I could do a video about magic and explain how it all works, but frankly, I mean, that's the other half of the game. Like, it's needlessly complex, in my opinion. Like, I read through part of the magic section for the book, from the book, and it's just like, this doesn't need to be this complicated, but it is. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if we come back to Shadowrun at some point, I'll talk about the magic, but it's kind of like, it's a lot like, you know, the rest of the book. It's like there's rules for pretty much everything. You can do pretty much anything you want with magic. It's just, you have to take the right stuff. You have to understand it, and I can only do this, and blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of crazy, but there you go. But so is all the rest of this stuff. The whole game is crazy. It's nuts, and I've talked enough about it for now. So my name is Mang. This has been Roll Mangging for Shadowrun 5th Edition, Cyberware, and Bioware. And I'll see you fine folks around.